It's the Duel of the Dummies. In the red corner, we have SpongeBob, who doesn't even need an introduction.
What's a brainstem?
And in the blue corner, we have Patrick. I mean, don't even get me started on this guy.
In a dignified and sophisticated manner?
You mean like a weenie? Okay. May I take your hat, sir? May I take your hat, sir? May I...
All right, I've heard enough. You've got the job.
Stick around, because we're diving deep to uncover who's the absolute dumbest sea creature. Each time one of these idiots does something stupid, they get a point. Every time one of them does something that harms them, we give them 2 points. And every time they do something that harms someone else, they get 3 points. We'll keep going until somebody finally reaches 30 points. And there's no better way to start this battle than the episode Big Pink Loser. In this one, Patrick becomes jealous of SpongeBob's massive pile of awards and recognition at the Krusty Krab. He decides the best way to get his own achievements is to copy everything SpongeBob does. Of course, Patrick, well, being Patrick, things go wrong right away. No matter how simple the task is, Patrick finds a way to mess it up. He finally gets handed what should be the easiest job in the entire restaurant, answering the phone. All Patrick has to do is pick it up and say the right words. That's it. But instead of showing the slightest bit of common sense, well, yeah, my bro just completely hangs up on 3 potential buyers. For that, he's gonna get a point on the board.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No, this is Patrick. No! No!
Next up is the episode I Had an Accident. In this episode, SpongeBob is on top of a mountain. Him and Sandy are about to slide down the mountain, and SpongeBob decides to go first. And while he's sliding down, he names tricks after Squidward, and he also makes fun of Squidward. He pays no attention to what's ahead of him. That's when he almost runs into a tree, but dodges it. Though this is short-lived, when SpongeBob gets a tad too cocky and runs into a log that sends him dropping head first. Sandy tells him to land on his bottom, and SpongeBob flips around and lands on his butt, where it shatters like glass. SpongeBob critically injured himself, but could have also injured everyone else around him, because the glass shards can puncture Patrick, Sandy, or Squidward, giving SpongeBob 3 points on the board.
Like this?
No, your other bottom!
Don't you have to be stupid somewhere else? Oh, that's gonna hurt.
However, Patrick gets a chance to tie the game later in the same episode. In this part, Patrick is trying to make SpongeBob come outside, because he's too scared to go outside ever since he literally shattered his butt. But how do they do this? By doing SpongeBob's favorite activity, jellyfishing. Though this all goes downhill when Patrick catches one and decides to look down in his net, where he gets stung by the jellyfish right onto his face. This harms him badly, and of course, it's stupid, putting 2 points on the board for Patrick. And just like that, the dummies are now tied 4-4.
I got one!
Next is the episode Suds, where SpongeBob is extremely sick and can't stop sneezing. Patrick tries to help him in many different ways, but the most dangerous is when he decides to fill SpongeBob's pores with corks. As you can imagine, SpongeBob slowly inflates like a balloon, causing him to need to go to the ER later in the episode.
It seems you have the suds. Are you ready for your treatment?
SpongeBob, following through with Patrick's dumb ideas, gets him 2 points for the effects of being stupid, eventually endangering himself. However, SpongeBob's attempt at scoring on the board quickly backfires when you think about the fact that Patrick, SpongeBob's main competitor in this fight, actually causes the harm to SpongeBob. This does give Patrick 3 points for harming everyone around him with his solutions. SpongeBob will try again to tie the game with the episode The Paper. In this episode, Squidward gets a piece of gum and throws the wrapper into SpongeBob's doorstep. SpongeBob steps out of his house only to find the paper. He then proceeds to cherish it and asks Squidward if he can keep the paper. He asks him like 5 times if he's sure, and then hides it under the table to ask Squidward again and again if he doesn't want the paper. And when Squidward finally gets SpongeBob to go away, SpongeBob spends the full 11-minute episode playing with the paper. paper, like it's the new hit toy that can fly or something. I mean, like, come on. That's an easy 1 point on the board to tie this game. Cause how does somebody find 11 minutes of entertainment with a bubblegum wrapper?
Nope.
Patrick attempts to return to the lead again in the episode The Fry Cook Games, arguably one of the best episodes in season 2, with an 8.9 star rating. In the episode, SpongeBob and Patrick face off in food-themed Olympic events to test their, absolutely horrible athletic abilities. Everything goes wrong at around the 7-minute mark during one of the most dangerous competitions. In this event, the competitors must launch themselves with poles over a giant pot of bubbling hot grease, a stunt that's already stupid in general. SpongeBob very surprisingly performs his jump perfectly and sticks the landing with ease. This immediately puts the spotlight on Patrick. Obviously, Patrick's attempt goes horribly wrong. Instead of cleanly clearing the grease, he just wings it and causes the pot to tip, sending literal fryer grease flying into the audience. The grease splashes onto an entire row of the fish in the stands, which obviously turns them into fish sticks. The stand's owner begins selling the newly made fish sticks for $1 each. The absurd disaster earns Patrick an impressive 3 points on the scoreboard, not only for attempting the challenge, not only for harming himself potentially, but also for harming others in the process, putting him up by 3. SpongeBob attempts to take the lead again with this next episode, Boating School. In this episode, SpongeBob, of course, tries to take his license for his boat. This time, he gets Patrick to help him out by putting a whole walkie-talkie in SpongeBob's head, covering the antenna with a hat. My boy SpongeBob, even though Patrick's helping him out, gets all the way to the finish line, and I mean like max 30 yards away from it. But then, Mrs. Puff starts joking about how some guy was giving SpongeBob the answers. And SpongeBob laughs, but then everything goes horribly wrong when Mrs. Puff says, though that would be considered cheating. SpongeBob realizes he's cheating, cries, and yaps like there's no tomorrow, calling himself a cheater, letting go of the wheel, and causing the boat to slam into the wall. The result, SpongeBob, he's perfectly intact. Mrs. Puff, well, she's inflated like a balloon. Somehow, we hear sirens immediately, and in the next scene, we see Mrs. Puff still puffed up, getting stuffed into an ambulance, and more than likely getting transported to the hospital. This earned SpongeBob the key to tie the game, 3 points. Of course, not only was SpongeBob stupid, but he harmed someone else in the act. I mean, my guy just caused his teacher to go to the hospital because he wouldn't stop crying over and over, being a cheater. Oh my god. Next up, we have the episode Band Geeks. You see, this is the episode where the iconic "mayonnaise is an instrument" meme came from. Now, we obviously all know that this is not true, as mayonnaise is a condiment, not an instrument of any kind. So Patrick was either rage baiting or just being incredibly stupid. And we all know the second option is the more likely one, because we all know Patrick. Just to break it down, Squidward tries to teach some of the Bikini Bottom citizens to play the instruments. Plankton asks if instruments of torture count, where Squidward obviously says no. Then Patrick raises his hand and asks, is mayonnaise an instrument? Squidward again obviously says no. Patrick raises his hand again, and Squidward says horseradish isn't an instrument either. Then Patrick's hand goes down, confirming that was indeed a question. This awards Patrick 1 point on the board. He didn't hurt anyone or himself, but it was just a really stupid question. How could you possibly think that a condiment that you put on burgers is an instrument? But now, let's look at another one of SpongeBob's bright moments. In the episode Spongehenge, you might recognize that this exact episode is famous for being ominous. You don't know what's wrong with it, but something is wrong with it, because some people will say this episode is scary because it literally shows SpongeBob going completely insane, which drives him into ruining his whole life, which is where it leads gets to the dumb part. You see, in this episode, the stupid jellyfish will not leave my poor man SpongeBob alone. The entire episode, wind blows through the Bikini Bottom, going through SpongeBob's pores and making music. The jellyfish are attracted to this noise and follow SpongeBob everywhere, not hurting him, just ruining his privacy. This also creates the Bikini Bottom's weirdest mystery. How is there wind underwater? Aside from that, the episode continues on, where SpongeBob goes into a cave and stays there for what looks like tens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of years, just to stay away from something that he once loved, jellyfish. At the end of the episode, SpongeBob comes out, and surprise, surprise, the entire Bikini Bottom has been abandoned. This awards SpongeBob 1 point for just throwing his whole life away and reliving caveman life. The next dumb moment goes to Patrick, and this happens in the episode Nose Nose Nose. In this episode, Squidward gets home from the grocery store and finds Patrick and SpongeBob hiding in the flowers. Patrick, being jealous, wishes he could smell the flowers too. SpongeBob suggests that he should have a nose implanted on his face, so they go to a plastic surgery clinic called Noses and Things. After the surgery, Patrick removes the bandage to see his nose and is thrilled. He begins smelling so many nice things while walking around town. Yes, Patrick goes around town just to smell things. Anyways, he soon comes to find a trash can with some rotten onion rings, which he hates the smell of, then disinfects his whole house after finding out it also has a bad smell. Later, he also picks up another horrible scent, which he traces to Squidward's imported cheese, and proceeds to demolish it with a rocket gun. Yeah, 3 points for putting himself and others into danger. Talk about drastic measures. This guy used something that could destroy an average home on cheese. The episode The Splinter starts as normal, until SpongeBob trips on tartar sauce. He rams into a small wooden board that snaps and gives SpongeBob a nasty splinter. Squidward decides to mess with my poor boy SpongeBob, saying that he'll get sent home by Mr. Krabs if he sees the splinter. Squidward also hints that he'll tell Mr. Krabs about the splinter. SpongeBob, being scared about getting sent home, calls Patrick to help with his splinter. Patrick not only makes it worse, he makes it devastating. Patrick pushes the splinter deeper into his thumb, making it way worse. Patrick then tries to use the garbage to help with the swelling, but instead he infects it, and then Patrick says his shift's over and walks away like he's a real doctor. Go ahead and slap in 2 points for SpongeBob and 3 for Patrick. 2 for SpongeBob because he risks the splinter getting worse by not properly cleaning it to avoid getting sent home, causing potential harm to him, and 3 for Patrick because he made SpongeBob's splinter 10 times worse than it already was, causing harm to someone else other than him. SpongeBob is back with the episode Not Normal. The episode starts out with Squidward sleeping. He then gets waken up by SpongeBob like normal, and Squidward says that he's screaming like a banshee. SpongeBob gets convinced by Squidward that he's not normal by a single phrase. SpongeBob then proceeds to watch a video on how to be normal and change his ways. Over a 3-week span, SpongeBob changes, becoming more circular without holes. Not to mention, he doesn't have his normal buck teeth and some other features. He also becomes more nonchalant than usual. And just off of that, we can award SpongeBob 1 point. He just tries way too hard to be what people want him to be, instead of just being himself. He later regrets this in the episode anyways, proving that it was just a stupid decision overall. But Patrick is back with the episode Patrick Smart Pants. You see, the episode starts off completely normal, for a SpongeBob episode that is. Patrick in this episode is playing tag with SpongeBob, when SpongeBob notices that Patrick is running towards a sign, though this isn't any normal sign. This is one that literally says danger, cliff. Patrick just runs through the wooden sign and falls off the cliff. SpongeBob goes to find Patrick and sees his headless body walking towards him. Patrick screws on his head, and yeah, 2 points for Patrick and SpongeBob for playing tag on a cliff. Though after this, Patrick becomes smarter after he screws on his head. He loses his interests over time and stops being friends with SpongeBob. A little while later in the episode though, Patrick literally kidnaps SpongeBob to try to do what they used used to do together, like jellyfishing and clam surfing. Yeah, easy 3 points for Patrick literally kidnapping SpongeBob. But there's something I haven't told you yet. Something small, something hidden way back in the early days of the show. Just a tiny 5-second moment that some people probably would have never even noticed. But that little moment decides everything. It's the one detail that flips the whole thing around and seals SpongeBob's win once and for all. And not by just a little bit either. Because of this tiny detail, SpongeBob wins by over 3 million points. You see, in the episode Mrs. Puff, You're Fired, Mrs. Puff, well, gets fired, and some guy takes over the classroom. But there's one scene where everything flips. You see, around the 30-second mark, Mrs. Puff is getting interviewed by someone, and he says that there has been an unusual amount of failings in her class. Mrs. Puff rebuttals, saying that only one person has ever failed her class, and the interviewer says that. Well, that is true. The one student mentioned, SpongeBob has failed her class over 1,258,056 times. Just for the record, since SpongeBob is proven to be about 25 years old in season 4, which is the season this episode airs in, we can safely say from the moment he turned 16 to the age of 25, in order to fail his driver's license test, he would need to fail it every 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Now, most of the time, in order to fail a driving test, you have to do things such as making a collision, running a red light, speeding, or hitting a curb. This is 3 points for every fail, since he's putting himself and Mrs. Puff in danger. Since 1,258,056 times 3 equals 3,774,168, we can award SpongeBob that many points, easily winning the challenge. Yeah, I bet a lot of you thought Patrick would be dumber, but it truly adds up. Patrick may act dumber more often, I can't lie, but being dumb is nothing compared to almost killing Mrs. Puff over 1 million times. So this time, SpongeBob won fair and square. Subscribe, or else you'll have to teach SpongeBob how to drive a boat, and you don't want to do that.